On a particularly frustrating Saturday afternoon, I was practicing one of the most difficult variations that I had ever done with my ballet teacher. I kept failing to whip my head around, and after what felt like maybe the 100th time, I was drained and hopeless, and terribly out of breath. Knowing that I had let my ballet teacher down, I looked up at her, still panting, but fearing a look of disappointment clouding her face. But instead, she looked confused. But when she opened her mouth, I braced myself for the multiple corrections that were definitely coming my way. But nothing came. And she asked, "Are you scared?" Naturally, I was terrified of letting her down, but I shrugged my shoulders, not sure what to do. She then clarified by asking, "Are you scared because your dancing makes you look afraid?" Oh. She concluded by saying, "Dance freely to enjoy it, and breathe," which made me think about breathing in the first place. Breathing. It's an involuntary action. It's vital to our existence. It's systematic. We were all born with a knowledge of breathing, of intaking oxygen and expelling carbon dioxide. It's a complex cycle that our body processes, and yet our conscious minds don't even think about it. Most of us would even say that we're masters at breathing. But I'd like to take a moment to propose that breathing is something we should all take some time to learn how to do properly. I'm going to argue that for each and every one of us, there's been a moment in which we've forgotten to breathe. Maybe that's on a roller coaster shooting by at 100 miles per hour. Or maybe for you, it's when you're so concentrated on succeeding at something that you just forget to breathe for a second. But for me, it's every time that I become nervous. I could be nervous about making mistakes, I could be nervous about falling on my face, or I could be nervous about talking in front of a crowd. Whatever the reason, whenever I'm nervous, I cut my airways off from air, which doesn't really help because I become lightheaded and shaky. Fortunately for me, dance has taught me a lesson in breathing. Without control of breathing, it is impossible to do many of the steps that are common in dance. Take a pirouette, for example. It's a turn which requires the dancer to line their body on their toe. It's relatively simple to do if you're properly trained, but often I'm scared to fall, so then I tense up, which is probably the worst thing you can do if you're trying to execute a turn. I stop breathing and my shoulders go up and I'm like a stiff wooden board trying to spin, which is to say that I fall over and I don't make it around. Breathing occurs in 2 steps, and breathing in dance also follows 2 points. Inhale and allow your ribs to expand. Breathe with your arms to express. Taking deep breaths allows my body to capture and release energy to produce different qualities of movement. Every inhale, I feel renewed with fresh energy. This energy calms my nerves on stage, and my lungs use the oxygen to translate the music in my ears to a motion of my arm or leg. The expanding of my lungs allows my toes to push downwards, my arms to stretch outwards, and my chin to lift upwards. Expansion. Then there's the second step. Exhale and feel the air rush out. Use this as a release. As carbon dioxide rushes out of my parted lips, I feel stress, anger, and frustration exiting my system simultaneously. I am able to overcome nervous anxiety and not let it show externally. Instead, I allow my love of dance to seep through every cell in my body, and I communicate this to the audience when I am on stage. When the audience acknowledges this love, dance becomes more than just moving to music. But this isn't just a feeling or metaphor. There's a science behind why breathing helps. With every inhale, we trigger millions of sensory receptors in the respiratory system, which in turn send signals to the brain. So when we take quick, shallow breaths, our brain recognizes this as a sign to increase the production of sweat, stress hormones, blood pressure, and other reactions. Imagine if we lived our whole lives in this state. When we don't understand how to utilize breathing, we may constantly feel stressed or panicky, not understanding how to relax or free ourselves from stress. Recently, I've been taking yoga classes, and breathing is an important part of the flows. Breathing is known as pranayama and is one of the 8 limbs of yoga. Every conscious breath takes our body from one pose to the next. And this applies to all kinds of physical activity. Whether it is running, weightlifting, swimming, or dancing, breathing can ease unnecessary tension and allows our body to stretch and work to its full extent. So, in addition, breathing has been proven to improve sleep, decrease anxiety, and strengthen our ability to control and regulate emotions. Dance teaches me about breathing. Breathing relaxes pain, breathing releases toxins, and breathing teaches me about my body, the opposites that work together to move as one. Understanding this can make the difference between falling flat on my face during a performance and completing the perfect solo. When I succeed, I can smile happily, proud that I have learned how to breathe. At first, I always thought that I wasn't strong enough, or that I didn't have enough technique, and that was why I was failing. It never occurred to me that the solution could be in such a simple thing as breathing. So I encourage you all to think of something that is difficult for you. And the next time you try whatever it is, breathe and try to relax. It turns out that most of the time, that's all that's needed to overcome the barriers in life. And for me, there's a relaxing wave that rolls over me every time I remind myself to breathe. So start now. Embrace the exhale. Thank you.